Welcome all the devotees for today's this session on Bhakti Shastri. We have been discussing upon a chapter of Bhagavad Gita that is called as Guna Vibhaga Yoga. That is three modes of material nature, and especially we have entered into section where because in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said the different living entities they take birth based on the modes which they have acquired. Sad asad yoni janmashu. Karanam guna sangasya sad asad yoni janmashu. So in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita now, Krishna starts speaking something more elaborately about the three modes of material nature. Because these three modes play a very vital role. Now, the first verse, the very first verse which starts, like I'll just show you yesterday we discussed the very first verse. It is, okay, I'll share. So now in the very first verse, he writes here, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami, Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam. Now, the reason I have highlighted this word called as Bhuyah. So if you go in every shloka, there are certain words which are game changers. Game changers means they are like they change the game of the shloka or they change the game of entire philosophy only. Like in the 13th chapter, there was one word, Kshetra Kshetragna Cha. The word Cha comes. So whenever you recite any shloka, Sanskrit shloka, and the word Cha comes, so pay attention to that Cha. Because that Cha, small word Cha only, two letters, but that changes the entire game between Mayavad and Bhakti. Now in this shloka also, Param Bhuyah. Now Bhuyah, what is the meaning of word Bhuyah? Bhuya means again. Again, I am explaining to you the knowledge of knowledge. Now, the same knowledge. Now, but if you see the 13th, 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is speaking about the modes of material nature. But did Krishna ever explain in the first 12 chapters anything about modes? Do you remember anything? That before 13th chapter, before the 14th chapter, Krishna spoke anything about modes of nature? Anywhere anything is mentioned? Anyone remembers any shloka or anything related to this? Yes, Amantu.
रुचि प्रकृति क्रियमाणानि गुणै कर्माणि सर्वदा guna and also like maya adhyakshena prakriti is related to
Okay. Yes, Akshay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, in 7.14, Daivi Hesha Gunamaya Mama Maya Durataya Mama Eva Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite.
Yeah, but do you find anything specifically about modes of nature? That is passion, goodness, and ignorance. These words did ever come before?
Only that slok only Gunamaya is there, that three modes of nature, not
Okay.
specifically passion, goodness.
Okay. Very good. Any other devotee? Yes, Shantanu Prabhu.
He says Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistrigunya Bhavarjuna. So there also he just mentions a mention, not in details anything.
Yeah.
But he just gives a introductory word like Traigunya.
So if you read the translation of this shloka, here it is being mentioned, again I am going to declare you the supreme wisdom. Now somebody may question, Prabhu, where did you declare before at all? You did not declare anything. He said the best of the knowledge. So this knowledge again, this knowledge is knowledge of Bhakti Yoga only. I'm adding, he said, okay, I'm going to repeat the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita again, but now in a different way. That is by taking this chapter, taking this discussion on modes of material nature. So I'll explain you. This is not about modes of nature is saying. Again, I'm going to speak something about Bhakti Yoga only. I'm going to clarify Bhakti Yoga and little more details about the three modes of nature. So The last 6 chapters, they also declare Bhakti Yoga only. But especially these 6 chapters are very, very appealing and applicable for those like who have that some tendency for intelligence, like Jnana. That's why they said Jnana Yoga. It's like some people, those who are especially have the tendency to search out the things and understand the things using their intelligence and speculation and mental abilities, then such people, they need, so if they also wish to perform bhakti, then there is a vent given here, there is a way given here, that okay, for the jnana yoga mark, but jnana yoga is also bhakti, but you want to see me, you want to practice bhakti yoga, but you have a lot of tendency for jnana, okay, do this way. Middle 6 chapters, Bhakti, process of Shravanam, 7.1, Tat Shrunu, the core limbs of Bhakti Yoga, the way, and still in the 10th chapter also Krishna tells, okay, you want to see me everywhere, you want to remember me, but in material world you are not able to remember me. See, in so many forms I am available. While drinking water, you remember me. While eating, you remember me. Everywhere. So, so especially the last 6 chapters are very appealing. That is also glorifying Bhakti Yoga for those people who have little bit the tendency for using their intelligence or jnana. But this intelligence is not a that kind of jnana, Mayavad jnana. This jnana is mainly uh, about and which is conducive for bhakti. So this is that part of jnana yoga. So especially somebody is a pure devotee, somebody is on the platform of bhav or prem, he may not require this last 6 chapters because that is by default into him. This is by default system into him. He doesn't know to say the difference between soul, super soul. He is really on the platform of already love with Krishna. So that knowledge is already assumed. But especially for those people who have that tendency. So he said, I'm going to explain the supreme wisdom again to you. And if some those sages who have and sages have attained perfection with the help of, and if you see here now again, another word which is very important. So first word I mentioned is bhuyah. Second words, yad jnatva munayah sarve. Munayah sarve. The word is munay. If you see the word is highlighted as here, if you see the word, just a minute. So see this word, munayah. Here it is not mentioned bhaktayah. Yat jnatva bhaktayah sarve. It is written munayah. So munayah means generally those who have tendency to speculate, those who have tendency to think logical, analytical. Even they can attain perfection in the life based by getting this knowledge. Even a muni can get a perfection. Now problem may be even if for a muni the definition of perfection may be different. For a muni, if he's aspiring for Brahma Jyoti, then also by getting this knowledge he can attain to Brahma Jyoti. If he wants to go to heavens, not heavens, but mainly heavens, is if he wants to go to Goloka, Vaikuntha, then also he can attain perfection by getting this knowledge, the knowledge of 3 modes of material nature. So if you see in there was one lecture by Param Pujya Radhanath Maharaj, in which a devotee had asked question to Maharaj about why is it that different people are attracted by different things, different objects, different conditions, and different kinds. Like everyone has a different choice. Like I remember in a prasadam, sometimes when we keep prasadam. So a devotee, once I was invited for a prasadam at some devotee's family, and they were serving many, many big, different items. So sometimes 15 items they had made for some many brahmacharis that invited, and they were serving different items, paneer and this and that. So many items they had made. But I saw every devotee was attracted to different item. Like some devotees got attracted to South Indian, some devotee got attracted to some different prasadam item, some got khichdi, and like for me also some item I said, "Prabhu, कुछ simple rice dal है क्या bro? Simple rice dal, nothing much required complicated." He said, "Prabhu, paneer है, ये है, kofta है." बोला नहीं प्रभु जी, enough of that, not required. So we see every devotee is attracted to different particular type of. So why is it like that? So Maharaj answered. I'm just referring to the answer of Maharaj. He said We enjoy or suffer a particular type of consciousness depending upon previous conditioning within the three modes of nature. So we know the three modes of passion, goodness, passion, and ignorance. They are intervened in so many complex ways to produce 8,400,000 species of life. Maharaj replied. So we find this is all about conditioning. So then Maharaj asked one very nice statement in that lecture. Maharaj asked, do really people like smoking a puff of cigarette? So all those smokers or all those drunkards, those who smoke very regularly, if you look at their lives, they may not have enjoyed smoking or drinking the very first time. So every first time, the first timer who drinks a cigarette, it's actually very, very terrible. And he may even inhale it and he may have lungs problem and he may induce a cough and a lot of troubles may come for such a person who is smoking cigarette for the first time. But because of social pressure, because of the influence around, they form a regular habit, at least for the sake of distinction. Like they feel it's a prestigious issue to have smoke. And slowly, the conditioning starts developing. And then what happens? The fragrance, like I remember when we travel in the train or bus or auto, somebody is smoking, the driver is smoking a cigarette. The devotees have a great tough time. They just hold their hands and they are look, array, who this nonsense is? He's smoking like this. But the same fragrance appears very, very nectarian and very, very pleasing to a smoker. So how is it that these things have developed? This is mainly because of three modes of nature. On the other hand, devotees also develop a conditioning. Devotees also develop a conditioning. Like we find great devotees, they also, if we learn these modes of nature, we can develop right conditionings in our life. So currently we are struggling with the wrong conditionings in the life. But if I understand this knowledge very well, then we can develop even good conditionings and even spiritual conditionings can be developed. Like for example, Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami was accustomed to chant several lakhs of names every day. And Rupa Goswami used to tell in a much more different way. What Rupa Goswami said? Oh Lord, I desire millions of tongues and I desire millions of years. 1 year is not sufficient. Billions of years. Your chanting is so pure, so tasty. But the same chanting appears a little tough for us. So that means by practice, by associating with a particular mode, if we associate regularly with mode of goodness, we develop conditioning of goodness. If we associate with pure goodness, we develop conditioning for pure goodness. So based on that, like we find on another example, we in the Sankalpa camp, we consider the example of Mrigari. Mrigari was feeling happy in torturing animals. On the other hand, if you see the devotees, even if they kill a cockroach, they feel guilty for it. They feel pained by it. Even the ant is killed, then the devotees feel. So how is it that? This is because of he associated repeatedly with that conditioning. So although Jivatmas all look practically same from outside, but what matters inside, what is different in every living entity is the conditioning. So sometimes two devotees or two people may appear almost similar and they appear very gentlemanly from inside, from outside. The looks, if you see, they look very gentlemanly and the behavior looks very gentlemanly. But if you go a little more deeper, you'll understand how everything is being governed by different modes. So one very important statement comes. I'll just repeat that statement from Maharaj. And this is very beautiful statement. I like that. So in essence, we have to learn to condition ourselves through the intelligence given by God. So by making the use of intelligence, we can recondition ourselves. We have ability to recondition ourselves. And how to recondition ourselves? The word of God is intelligence of a devotee. This is a very beautiful statement, I write. The word of a God is the intelligence for a devotee. So more the word of God goes inside, the more intelligence gets strengthened. So the word of God is the intelligence of devotee, and a devotee has no other intelligence. Surrendering our intelligence to the word of God is spiritual life. So very beautiful statement. Surrendering our intelligence to the word of God is the spiritual life. So I thought to share something from Maharaj lecture before we start. Surrendering our intelligence to the word of God is called as spiritual life. So coming back to our discussion, yesterday we covered around 5 shlokas. Now let's go ahead. We discussed the analogy of scorpion. Scorpion comes out from the rice, but it is not that scorpion is born in rice. All the living entities are made possible to take birth in the material world by Supreme Lord. And He is a seed-giving Father. Aham Bija Pradapita. We discussed little bit about Mahad Brahma, Brahma, Pradhan, Prakriti, Purush. And okay, we'll recite this 5th verse again. And then we'll go ahead with the 6th one. Yes, bro. Please, someone can recite the 5th verse.
Sim Prabha Prabhu.
Yes, Pradeep. तत्त्वं रजस्तमस्ति गुणा प्रकृति संभवा निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनम् अव्ययम्. Translation. Just a minute, Pradeep. I'm opening in my.
Yeah.
Yeah. Translation. Material nature consists of 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by 3 modes.
Yeah. So yesterday we read the purport, but I'll just mention some vital points from here. Yes, bro. Quickly, you can read this explanation.
Pradeep, my eyesight is little weak, so screen it will be difficult to read.
Oh, okay, okay. Anyone is able to read, Prabhu?
I think BLN Sekhar Prabhu.
Yes, bro.
Yes, Proj. Explanation from surrender unto me. The eternal living entity comes in contact with material nature and becomes conditioned by it. In other words, despite his desire for independent enjoyment, his existence is subject to strict control by the modes of material nature. The fault which causes the soul's conditioned state certainly rests in his own independent desire. We cannot blame Krishna any more than a criminal can blame a judge for his jail sentence. We have misused our minute independence. Out of enmity toward Krishna, we have rejected our constitutional position as his servitor. Therefore, we had to come to the temporary material world of illusion. All jivas in the spiritual world willingly and lovingly keep Krishna's service at the center of their consciousness. How then could we live there? Once we come to the material world, we need to assume a false identity, a false ego. For false ego, which is like a reflection of our true consciousness within matter, is the covering over the soul first supplied by material nature and is the juncture between our spiritual identity and our material existence. Any ego identity in which we may imagine ourselves the central figure is acceptable to our perverse consciousness. Based on that false ego, the elemental ingredients for both subtle and gross material bodies are generated. Based on such bodies, we become controlled by a specific combination of the modes of material nature and naturally become attracted to exploiting particular combinations of matter. Thus, the soul, constitutionally Krishna's eternal servant, full of bliss, knowledge, and eternity, becomes attracted to the material atmosphere and conditioned by it. He is then strictly controlled by the modes of material nature and experiences himself as if it were made of temporary matter. Every inhabitant of the material world has earned his prison sentence, and all are bound by the ropes of material nature, with the 3 strands of goodness, passion, and ignorance twisted tight to give them strength. The next group of verses describes the effects of each of the modes upon the conditioned soul. Texts 6, 7, and 8, one after another, explain the ways in which goodness, passion, and ignorance force a soul to experience his existence.
Yes, bro. So that's okay. I think even if you could not understand, don't worry. Basically, this was just a explanation from surrender to me. So this is a short summary, as I mentioned yesterday. So we'll now read 14.6 to 14.8. They will describe about the three modes and what is the binding force for the three modes. Why people want to remain stuck up in that mode. So in the 14.6 to 14.8, there is a description about why do people want to remain in a particular mode and what ties them up. What is the bond, what is the reason that they get stuck up to that mode. And then 14.11 to 14.23, that will mention about what are the characteristics of such mode and what are its manifestation. 14.14 to 14.15, they will also discuss about the destination which a person attends. Two shlokas, which Urdhvam Gachanti Satvasta, Madhye Tishtanti Rajasa. So this all shlokas will come here. And what are the destinations they will attain? And 1618, result. What is the result of person being in such mode? So characteristics, results little appear similar, but we are just divided into two parts. What are the results, exact result? Where do they go? And what all things happen with them? And characteristics means during in this present life, what all things we can observe from their body and their life. This is characteristics. So now we'll quickly read till 15th verse, and then again we'll take a pause and then we go ahead. So we quickly read different shlokas and purports. Quite easy to understand. I know many of you might have taken sessions on this and many other things. So we'll quickly read this. Okay. So verse number 6. Oh, Krishna. Okay. 14.6. Yes, bro. Someone can please read.
Bibhu Satapati Prabhu.
Yes. तत्र सत् तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशकम् अनामयं सुखसङ्गेन बध्नन्ति ज्ञानसङ्गेन च नघ.
Yes, bro. So this is Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat. Nirmal matlab there is no mala in this mode. There is still a mal, but it is almost pure. Nirmal. जिसका मन निर्मल है हम बोलते हैं. So it is very निर्मल. तो क्या निर्मल है? सत्वम. सत्वम is निर्मल. And प्रकाशकम मीन्स अगर ये मोड में अगर कोई है तो उसके जीवन में काफी क्लैरिटी होती है. He is illuminated in life. There is never much confusion in his life. No, there is a prakasham. His clarity comes in such a person. Anamayam. Anamay means sin. And ana means no sin. So such a person generally is doesn't get so many sinful. He doesn't engage in sinful life. So, and because of this, what happens? Sukha sangena badnati. बन जाता है वो. बदनाती मतलब बन जाता है, बॉन्डे जाता है. What is the reason? किससे बन जाता है? सुख संगेन एंड ज्ञान संगेन. तो दो संगे, दो संग मीन्स अटैचमेंट. सुख से अटैचमेंट आ जाती है उसको, ज्ञान से अटैचमेंट आ जाती है, एंड दैट इज द रीजन ही बिकम्स बदनाती. That so this is the way it goes. It conditions one. Please read the translation, Roji.
O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Can I read purport?
Yes, bro.
No. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestation are cause of the entities conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in this material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is a Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when the living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientists and philosophers. Each is very proud of his knowledge and become they generally improve their living conditions. They feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in the conditioned life makes them bound by the modes of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the mode of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, or a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant.
So two things. What are the conditionings? The happiness. So person in the mode of goodness is always very happy and is knowledgeable. And this is also a bending force that this mode also keeps him in the material world. He thinks that I'm very happy, I'm very sukham, there is a lot of jnanam, I know more than others. And then he's Prabhupada has given examples of two personalities: Brahmana, philosopher, poet, and scientist. So if you see in do you know how many of you heard the morning walks of Srila Prabhupada? You can raise your hands. You have heard some morning walks of Srila Prabhupada, at least. So you can just raise the hands. Okay, Prabhu. Deepak Prabhu has read. Karuna Vishwo. Almost all the devotees, majority of the devotees have heard some morning walks of Srila Prabhupada. So in morning walks, actually morning walks are very beautiful conversations. Generally, we hear many times lectures, but morning walk, in case at a leisure time, if you wish to hear, please do listen to morning walks, because morning walks are very intimate conversations also with the disciples and the guests and all. And Prabhupada speaks very many things. So in morning walks, you might have come across one personality who again and again does morning walk with Prabhupada, and there are a lot of debates and arguments with him. Anyone knows who is that person?
Bhakti Damodar Swami Maharaj.
Okay.
Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj.
Okay, there is one Mr. Gujarati person.
Patel,
Dr.
Mr. Patel.
Patel, Dr.
Patel,
Patel
Dr. Patel.
in Bombay.
Yeah, so very famous personality. Thanks to Mr. Patel. Because of him, a lot of morning walks have come and lot of discussions have come. But if you see, so much he's in mode of goodness. He's a philosopher. So what is happening with him? Every day he comes and debates and argues with Srila Prabhupada, and so many hours of Srila Prabhupada he has got. But he will not change. You have seen? He will not change. He will say Jai Shri Krishna, he will chant Hare Krishna and everything he will say. But he somehow feels that he knows much more better. I want to know actually what happened with him. I heard that he became devotee and like almost, but so many meetings and so many. So this is the typically mode of goodness. Because in mode of goodness you feel that you are more knowledgeable than other. कितना पर्सनल एसोसिएशन मिला ना शिल प्रभुपाद का. रोज प्रभुपाद एक एक घंटा जिससे कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस दे रहे हैं, डिबेट कर रहे हैं, कभी कभी तो झगड़ा गुस्सा हो जाते थे एकदम प्रभुपाद. एंड ही फील्स कभी कुछ कुछ जब कुछ कुछ तो मॉर्निंग वॉक इतने खतरनाक है प्रभु Prabhupada actually becomes angry on him. इतना खतरनाक anger दिखता है आपको. And then he accepts and he doesn't accept. And again, next day will come with the same argument. Like I remember that there was a cartoon movie in the childhood we used to see. Vikram and Betal. You know Vikram and Betal? Vikram and Betal, there was a king called as Vikramaditya. And there was that ghost who was called as Betal. And the ghost again and again used to come and trouble. So, and this actually, one good part of this movie is, this movie is written by whom? So it's a
Bhakti Vinod.
Ah, this all story is written by Bhakti Thakur. Earlier we did not knew this that Vikram Betal is written by Bhakti Thakur. So we might have watched thoda Bhakti ka Sukriti gaya hoga pata nahi. That time he was not exactly devotee. He was Kedarnath Datta as a very great philosopher, researcher and scholar. So that time, in a time, as a matter of his time pass, he was getting bored one day. Bhakti Thakur was getting bored. So he thought, ki, let's do something. So then he wrote a story book like this, Vikram and Betal, and that was his time pass. That is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time pass. So very nice stories and very nice moral lessons from the entire story book. So basically, the mode of goodness conditions ones to happiness, and such a person, it becomes very difficult for such a person to gain knowledge, more knowledge. Radheshamru used to give example of another examples of such people are like if you want to go in Pune. In Pune, there is one very special area that is called as Sadashiv Pet. So no offense to those who are staying in Sadashiv Pet. And in this Sadashiv Pet, many Brahmanas are there. Many entire Brahmana colony. So once one devotee was sharing that to make one person from Sadashiv Pet into a devotee, one Brahmana into a devotee, I think we can easily make 10 other people devotee. But because they will agree, they will follow, and they always feel sense of superiority. Oh, that's आपका ISKCON है वो आपका भगवद गीता है हमें पता है गीता पता है रामायण पता है सब पता है because they're not much affected by miseries, they're in goodness, and they're always very peaceful, so they don't feel the need much. Sometimes passion and ignorance may be better. जो लोग माया का लात खा रहे हैं, they take bhakti much more faster. Like I remember generally most of the devotees, those who come to bhakti, because of one reason. What is the reason? That माया का बहुत लात खाया है, passion और ignorance का बहुत लात खाया है, तो थोड़ा easily bhakti ले लिया. Yesterday we were going for Sankirtan, and every day we go for our Harinam Sankirtan, and we came across one Mamta beer bar shop. There was some shop called as Mamta beer bar shop, and all the drunkards were there, and devotees were performing Harinam Sankirtan so enthusiastically. Aisa Sudamanath Prabhu was there in such a great dancing and singing and all. And last we appeal to the devotees, appeal to the people na, chant Hare Krishna, and सब लोग जोर से बोलिए Hare Krishna, and we understood अरे बाकी जो लोग हैं एकदम जो those who are coming from a decent family here, and that was like all Brahmanas or any kind of goodness wala people, they don't raise hands much. But these all drunkards, they started dancing only. They all made form circles among themselves, and then they danced and they chanted, and it was very. So then I understood. माय गॉड चैतन्य महाप्रभु का कृपा रियली पतित पावन के पतित लोगों के लिए ज्यादा बना लग रहा है. तो स्पेशली जो अपने आप को पतित मानता है या पतित है फटाफट एक्सेप्ट करता है, लेकिन जो अपने आप को बहुत स्पेशल समझता है, फॉर देम इट बिकम्स वेरी टफ. So this mode of goodness also conditions one to this material world, and again a person will take birth again and again in the material world if his condition. So what is the problem with person in the mode of goodness? So here I have mentioned, you can just see that what is the problem with the person in the mode of goodness, what is a difficulty which he faces. So here okay, सॉरी, कोई स्क्रीन दिख रहा है क्या आपको शेयरिंग पे?
ये पीपीटी दिख रहा है. हाँ अभी दिख रहा था अभी तो
Yeah, so this is a problem with person in mode of goodness. Please read, Prabhu. Someone can read. What are the problems which mode of goodness person will face? Obstacles. What are obstacles they will face? First. Okay, so first is no impetus to take up to spiritual life. Why? Because you are too happy and satisfied. Second, hard to be humble. Why? Because such people have sense of superiority. Hard to learn. Why? I already know. So these are the obstacles which come in the mode of goodness. Next verse. Let's go to the next verse. Now, how passion binds people into this material world. Yes, Prabhu. Someone can please read.
Chandra Bhushan Prabhu.
रजोरागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नन्ति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनः. Translation: The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive action.
Yeah. So mode of passion is born of hankering. So hankering comes especially when the desire is not fulfilled. So that's why hankering is there with the till the time. And after the desire is fulfilled, it becomes greed. The desire to the desire is more and more. It increases. Longings increases, and that's why a person gets conditioned. And purport, yes, Prabhu. Very beautiful purport. Please read.
Purport: The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man, and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruit of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. The modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion?
So this is the bondage by Rajoguna. How the bondage by Rajoguna comes? Because of the attachments and longing increases. So mode of passion, and Prabhupada mentions here, the mode of passion is if whether we are in mode of passion or not, that can be found out especially based on the attraction between man and woman. If this attraction is too disturbing and it's too frequent, that means we are a little bit situated in the mode of passion. Because those people in mode of goodness, generally they are not much disturbed. And when the passion is increased, then the hankering for material enjoyments, material desires, and the desire to work very hard, and this all increases. If you see mode of goodness persons, generally he doesn't like to work too hard also, too hard. He may work for the purpose of seva and all, but थोड़ा सा एक हल्का सा laziness दिखता है उसमें. Ignorance वाले में laziness ही दिखता है. And goodness वाला person, he is very thoughtful. He will very carefully invest his time in what he does. That is mode of goodness. And passion, because he has a lot of material desires, he doesn't care to do 15, 20, 25 hours of work, because that and because of this mode of passion. And such a person, we can see symptoms are the characteristics of such a person are there's attraction for material enjoyment. So seventh verse discussed about how one gets born to the material life by Rajaguna. And the eighth verse now is going to speak about how one gets bounded in this material world by Tamoguna. Yes, bro, please continue.
Deepak Sutar Prabhu.
तमसात्वा अज्ञानं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिस्तन्निबदन्ति भारत.
Yeah. So says, if you see this word, Badnati word comes here. Badnati means bondage. So tan nibadnati Bharata. Bharata means the son of Bharat. Pramad alasya nidrabhis. Mohanam. Mohanam means illusion. Pramad, madness. Alasya, laziness. So he said these are the symptoms of a person in the mode of ignorance, and this is the cause of his bondage. So nidra, alasya, pramad. So if you can remember NAP, nap. Such a person always wants to take a nap. Like we have a short, we say na power nap. But that power nap for such a person becomes powerful nap. Goodness wala person takes a nap, and the ignorance wala person takes powerful nap because in nidra, alasya, and pramad. Yes, Proji, please continue.
O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Should I read purport? In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what, but the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literatures. Vastu yathatmaya jnana varkam vipraya jnana jankam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather had died and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceived will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy when they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding. They are not much interested. They are not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of an embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of a sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance.
Yeah, so these are some external characteristics about how he sleeps and how he behaves. But the most vital for a devotee is like the person is not interested in spiritual life. Like if a, that then if a person is not interested in a spiritual life, then he is considered to be in a mode of ignorance only. Because Prabhupada is giving very beautiful example that he is able to see that his father has died, his grandfather has died, so many people are dying. Still, he feels that he is going to be immortal. So he said this is the biggest ignorance. All other characteristics which are there, that can be there, not there. But even if a person is in the mode of goodness, but he is not much interested in spiritual life, then still we can call him that is still in Tamaguna only, because that is the greater ignorance. And the Guru, that's why Guru plays a so much vital role in our life. Every day one is supposed to hear from a Guru again and again. The day we do not hear from Guru, the day we do not hear from Prabhupada, the day we do not read Prabhupada books, we can consider that we are not removing the ignorance from our life. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya, because that is a specific function of a Guru to remove the darkness from our life. So every day, that's why we say, na, in Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma, in that Guru Puja. So Chakshu Dan Dilo Jai Janme Janme Prabhu say. So Guru gives Chakshu Dan. So every day one is supposed to regularly read from Srila Prabhupada, read from Srila Prabhupada, hear from them, because then a person comes out of this ignorance. Otherwise, by default setting is person will be in the mode of ignorance. So that default setting, if you want to break, then you have to associate with people those who are out of this mode, and especially spiritual master. So we discussed about goodness, how it conditions. Then we discussed about passion, how it is a binding force, and then tamoguna. Now in the ninth verse. So the ninth verse will speak about the summary, what all things are discussed. So we'll not go into detail. Some ninth verse mainly discusses about goodness conditions ones to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive activities, and ignorance binds ones to madness. So basically, that has been discussion about in the ninth verse. Krishna is summarizing that. Now, from going ahead from verse number 10 to verse number 13, like, can we say that I'm in mode of goodness, I'm in mode of passion, so we may have a by default mode, which is by default, like prominent mode. A devotee may be in prominently in mode of goodness, or a devotee even may be in a prominently in mode of passion, or devotee may be prominently in mode of ignorance. But still, sometimes other modes do come. Like as a devotee, sometimes we feel na, प्रभु आज एकदम मुझे goodness की तरह feel हो रहा है. आज एकदम ऐसा साधु का फीलिंग आ रहा है, ऐसा इलेटेड लग रहा है, एकदम अच्छा लग रहा है. जब एकदम मक्खन के समान हो रहा है, मन भी बहुत शांत है, एकदम सेज की तरह बिहेव करने का मन कर रहा है. Sometimes this mode also becomes prominent, goodness, and we feel very satisfied and very cool and calm and all. And suddenly we find, oh, passion बहुत prominent हो गया है, प्रभु ऐसा हैंकरिंग, जब में ध्यान ही नहीं लग रहा है, 1000 plans बना रहा है मेरा मन जब के अंदर, ये प्लान वो प्लान. एंड समटाइम्स इग्नोरेंस डिवोर्स अस. ऐसा इग्नोरेंस डिवोर करता है कि एक माला करने के लिए 20-20 मिनट लगाता है. सो दैट मीन्स तमोगुण का प्रभाव बढ़ गया है. सो एवरी डे देयर इज अ कंपटीशन अमंग्स द मोड्स, नॉट दैट कि वन मोड इज ओनली ऑलवेज एक्टिव. सो लेट्स रीड द 10th verse now. 10th verse. Yes, bro, please read. Someone can read.
धैर्यवान राम प्रभु.
Yes, रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्त्वं भवति भारत रजः सत्त्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्त्वं रजस्तथा.
Yeah. So rajas, so very clear. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent. Sometimes the mode of passion. Raja means mode of passion. And abhibhuya, surpassing. So abhibhuya, sometimes passion, abhibhuya. Then sometimes goodness becomes prominent. So that is being mentioned here. And like this, there is competition amongst the modes. It appears that तीन मोड जो एक में competition कर रहे हैं. Yes, Proji, please read.
Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. Osana Bharatam. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Purport. When the mode of passion is prominent, the mode of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. The prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings, in his activities, in eating, etc. All this will be explained in later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness and thus defeat the modes of ignorance and passion. One can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance. Or one can develop the mode of ignorance and defeat goodness and passion. Although there are these three modes of material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness, and by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness, which is called the Vasudeva state, a state a little down, a state in which one can understand the science of God. By the manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated.
So, yes, Prabhu. So, Prabhupada is writing here. The modes, they appear and disappear according to the operation or exhaustion of our old karmas. So, the prominence of certain mode means we can see it in the dealings, in activities. So, he said one who wants to advance in bhakti has to learn to defeat other modes, transcend other modes. And then, and especially at least goodness is okay. And sitting on the vehicle of goodness, now aspire for pure goodness. So there is always competition, and Srila Prabhupada gives one statement here: by practice we can change the mode. So it is possible for us. So we have freedom and we have that capacity to choose which mode we want to be in, and then the mode will do the rest of the consequences. So if I take a blanket, if I take a foam, and if I nicely put on air conditioner and all the curtains are put up, and then I take a Bhagavad Gita and I try to read Bhagavad Gita in such an environment, which mode generally you feel is going to become prominent?
Ignorance.
Ignorance.
So we'll not be able to. So we decided, we made an environment around us in Tamoguna, and Tamoguna activity, the Tamoguna is not conducive for this kind of thing. Like reading a Bhagavad Gita, spiritual and all, it's not very conducive. So generally, then we find, oh Prabhu, we did not make the environments around us very proper. And then naturally, so we chose to be sit in the vehicle of ignorance, and we now say that, okay, I'll do the activity of goodness. Very, very tough. That's why you see, how many of you have an experience? One of the best japas which devotees do is in the train, right? How many of you feel that the japa goes very ecstatic in your train when you travel in the train? Or how many of you feel, okay, rather than, let's ask a question. How many of you feel the japa in the train is very different? What is speciality of japa in the train? Yes, Sumit Prabhu.
All the time, actually, we feel sleepy, Prabhuji.
Because the entire environment is only tamoguna. So you just think about people where we are going to sit, the place where we are going to sit in the train, although it may appear air conditioner, bogie or anything, but the seat itself, the drunkard might have slept there before, or a smoker might have sit in there before, and somebody might have done some wrong activity. A child might have passed stool and urine there on that seat, and it is like lying like that from long time immemorial, since the time train has started, and all gandagi and all safai. And when we go there at such a place, we sit on that seat, and then we try to say, oh, I want to do the activity of pure goodness. Generally it is very tough, generally. And apart from that, we have our own conditions of the body. So I see many devotees. I have seen personally Radhesham Prabhuji. When he goes to the train, first he will take a spray and then he will clean the entire seat. I don't know what happens by that. At least we get some mental satisfaction that some seat has been cleaned. And then Prabhuji sits on the chatai. He puts the chatai on the train, and small that seat, and then he sits there. Asana, kushagras. That's why kushagras is recommended. Na? Kushagras never gets contaminated. And that's why in temple hall also we use, whenever in your morning programs you might have seen, we use kushagras. All other chatais they get contaminated. Even plastic gets contaminated. All other get, but kusha grass doesn't get much contaminated. So that's why I use kusha grass. We sit on that. If you want to see the difference, try to sit on the kusha grass mat and then chant. The difference will be much more better. If you try to sit on sofa, try to sit on the bed and foam. See the japa. It goes very well. So it is by practice. It is by practice we can work upon changing the modes. So what is okay? 11th. We'll quickly complete till 12th, Prabhu. Till 8:05 we'll complete the 12th verse. Last 10 minutes we'll keep for some questions.
Dheeraj Vibhute Prabhu.
Yes, Proji. सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात् विवृद्धिं सत्त्वम् इति उत. Translation: the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Purport: there are the 9 gates in the body: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in a right position, and one can taste things in a right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is a development of symptoms of happiness, and that is the position of goodness.
So there are 9 gates in the body: ears, eyes, nostrils, mouth, and genitals. And when every gate feels the sense of happiness, then that is called as mode of goodness. Like generally we find nowadays many people have got experience. Many students, like first year students, those who come to voice, and before coming to voice, those who are accustomed to eat the food in the mode of passion, like they sometimes eat very tikha, very chilly, very spicy. You see, sometimes their ears, eyes also will have tears. Nostrils will also emit mucus. And anus also pains while passing the motions. Their body may burn. Means there is a burning inside the back. Why? Because the motions are also not happening. All the gates, they are experiencing the mode of passion. Ignorance, if you see, ignorance, similar. If every so when every gate of the body is experiencing the sense of happiness, generally in the mode of goodness, the eyes will be very peaceful, serene, cool, calm. Ears also will be always so, mouth. So all these gates, what are the 9 bodily gates, physical bodily gates, when they are illuminated by symptoms of goodness, then we can see that mode of goodness. Like now, like for example, eyes. Like those who are accustomed to as a passionate worker, somebody works very much on the computer screen, 15, 20 hours. Unfortunately, like this is a current trend of even a IT engineer, and even a voice devotee, or even a brahmachari sometimes, as a matter of seva, it may go. But we can say we are dealing with the mode of passion, energy. That energy is a passion. And eyes will have burning sensation, and eyes will give tears. And then you have to put an eye drop, no tears. There is eye drop called as no tears. They have to put. Why reason is because currently the person is in little bit of mode of passion. And the gates are showing the symptoms. The gates, we can see the symptom. Like when a computer works more than required, like when the 15, 20 programs are open in the computer, and you see in 15, 20 programs are open, files are open, and you are not closing it down, and 15, 20 windows are there, and so many processing is happening. You have seen the computer becomes hot. You can touch your computer mobile, it becomes hot. So hotness is a symptom that it has overworked today. So it's a symbol of passion. Means it's a symptom of. So similarly, our body, all the 9 gates, they also show some visible symptoms, and then we can understand. This is just a demo test to understand which mode we are in. The 12th verse, and we'll stop by today with this verse. 12th verse.
Himanshu Prabhu.
Yes, sir.
लोभ प्रवृत्तिर आरंभ कर्माणम् आसमास्त्रः राजसी एतानि जायन्ते बिभ्रते भारतर्षभ.
Yeah, so lobha pravrittir arambha. Lobha means greed. And pravritti, activity. Arambha, endeavor. So when there is increase in the mode of passion, a person starts working more. Arambha means a lot of activities he will do. Too many activities, intense endeavors will happen, and this will cause him hankering, more hankerings. Hankering will increase. So this is the 12th shloka, and the 12th shloka mentions what is a symptom when mode of passion has increased. What is how to understand whether passion has increased in our life? Simple. The greed is increasing, endeavors are increasing, uncontrollable desires are increasing, and where a person is never satisfied. No matter he gets a if he gets a 10 lakh job, still there is an hankering. If he gets a 20 lakh job, there is an hankering. Even if he gets 75, 80, 1 crore, 2 lakh, no matter how much he gets, when a person never becomes satisfied, then currently the person is in the mode of passion. So passion increases, then such symptoms are visible. So this is 12th verse. And the 13th verse speaks about when ignorance increases, then what all things improve? Increase, darkness increases, inertia increases, madness increases, illusion increases. So this was all the description about from verse number 10 to 13. We discussed about when one mode becomes prominent, what all visible symptoms we can see in the life of a person. So this was from 12th verse. Okay, 13 also you can just read the translation. Will not read purport, but just read the translation 13th. Aprakasho pravritischa pramado moha evacha tamasi etani jayante vivruddhe kurunandana.
Karthik Prabhu.
Yes, bro. Translation: When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested.
Just a short, short purport, just 3 lines, right?
Purport. When there is no illumination, knowledge is absent. One in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance.
So no desire to take initiatives, such is the prominence. When he doesn't, जैसे कि one very classic example is buffalo. Like in the village, if you have seen a buffalo sits there inside the gutter, and if you want it to do some work, or if you want to really kick it, you have to kick it, push it, and although it is so dirty always and doesn't do, although such a big animal, so much power, so much capacity to perform work is there, but always lazy. Why? That's why this is the mode of ignorance. Although the body is given, intelligence is given, he'll never take much endeavors in life. He always wants to remain in this way. So inactive, and such is a mode of ignorance. So you can remember this. How to remember this? One small formula. Like what are the character when the mode of ignorance increases? I said already one formula to you. That is NAP, Nidra Alasya Pramad. And another is DIM, DIM, DIM. So what is DIM? What is the meaning of this? जैसे कि आपको सोना है, ignorance के लिए dim light बहुत चाहिए, dim light. When the light becomes dim, that means ignorance बढ़ गया है. When the light becomes very bright, that is mode of goodness. And when the light starts on and off, on and off, on and off, मतलब पैशन हो गया एकदम. पैशन इग्नोरेंस पैशन है वो. अचानक कुछ तो होता है, एकदम भड़कता है और एकदम कम होता है, अचानक बढ़ता है, पैशन. So dim light means dim light is ignorance. So you can remember darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion. Dim. Yes, bro. So tomorrow is not there. Now next week. Okay, bro. Just one important thing I wanted to check with all of you, because this is the month of May, and till now I think we have covered 14th. Shantan bro, I just wanted to evaluate this because we can design our lesson plan accordingly. So currently this is today is 2 May. The next session will be on which May now, Dhruv?
On next Wednesday, right?
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th May. Yeah.
Okay, 8th and 9th May. And then will be 15th and
15th and
16th May.
16th May. Yes.
And then
22nd and 23rd.
23rd May.
Yeah.
Now comes the problem after this. No? I think for me, I think still okay. I can manage one more time. I think 30, 29 and 30 also I can, I think, manage. I think so. This 15th and 16th May appears a little difficult for me. I'll check because in case if it is difficult, then I may cancel this session or we'll do something different. I'll check with Shantanu bro because we are in Vishakhapatnam. And 29th and 30th May is also okay. And one more maybe max to max possible. After that, how many of you are, by the way, involved in Utkarsh camp or summer camps? Because some of you might be going for summer camps. Anyone here you are part of summer? You can raise your hands. Anyone, any devotee here is a part of summer camp? So, okay, Ankush Prabhu is there. Sumit Prabhu is there. Tanmay Prabhu is there. So, which part of summer camp? First camp or second camp?
Yeah, for me, mostly second one.
Okay, Tanmay Prabhu?
Second camp.
And Ankush Prabhu also second one. Okay, so that's okay. I am also myself going for second camp only. So for mostly first camp, I won't be going. So just a minute. By which date we'll complete this unit? You may get a good holiday also after that because this chapter is small. So till the time next unit starts, you may get some holiday. So you'll be also happy. That's why I thought to just make it like that. 30th May. And which one will be next one? 6th May, na? 6th May. And 7th May. And max to max.
So the 5th and 6th June.
Okay, 5th June, sorry.
Yeah,
5th
because
June.
31 का महीना है ना ये इसको.
5th June and 6th June. Okay, and one more may happen. I think itna required nahi hai, lekin just I'm taking 12 June, 13 June.
Yeah.
I think this 12 June, 13 June appears a little tough for me. Let's try to complete by this time only. We want to complete by this month because after that, traveling and all that will start at least this month. I will be in train travels, and many of you, Pandav Nirjal Ekadashi will also come. So we have how many sessions now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And already we are done with around 4 sessions, no? 4 or 5? 6.
Probably 6 sessions. 4
6
for
sessions
chapter 13 and 2 for 14. So I think in next 2 session 14 chapter will also be over.
Next
Those
2
verses are
sessions.
26 only, and even 15 chapter is small.
Even
I
it
guess.
may get over in one session also, but we are okay. Let's cover 2 sessions. Chapter 14 gets over.
Yeah,
This
and
will
I
get
think
over by
15 chapter is also small, 20 verses only. So
max to max 4 sessions.
Yeah.
Max to max. Even if we do very slow, then chapter 15 here will get over. Max to max 22nd May. I think that's all.
22nd, 23rd, I think that week.
Okay. So then that looks good enough. So this all things will be mostly not there. This we'll try to remove this all this. Oh, sorry. Okay, fine. So let's try to complete till 22nd May. Then you may get a little break in June when the next teacher comes for you. Okay, Prabhu. So more, I think, just 6 sessions to go more. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
So I think unit 2, this unit is still all chapters not there in this, or how is it like? Chapter 15 only we are taking?
No, at least I am supposed to take Prabhu 13, 14, 15.
Only till chapter 15.
Then 16, 17, 18, some other teacher may come. That Sakshi Chitru may decide.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhashya kripasinubhasya patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Shri
Jai.
Are you taking question answers?
Okay, you can ask one question.
Uji, you give one example in the middle of the lecture that whenever we're going into the train, like you give Radheshampur example, whenever he go into the train, he will clean the place and then put the push mat. So the environment will be changed through that. So my question regarding that only, Bhuji, see, we find out that we want to do some type of activity, some mode of activity we have to do, but the environment is type of different mode. So there is one option is that either we can change our activity and do the same activity, whatever mode is available. Or second option is that we can try to change the environment coming to the our activity, our mode of activity environment, and then there should be a compatible and we do that activity. So my question is this, Project, because what happens when we start changing the environment, and so many things will come, and our time instead of going into the activity, it will going into the changing the environment only fully, and our activity will be reduced, time will be reduced. So well, where we have to be stopped to change the environment and start the activity, how can we analyze that?
There is one great personality who did not change the environment only. Rather, he prepared totally wrong environment for his bhakti. Anyone remembers? He used to go and do japa inside the bathrooms. Who is that personality? For us, I guess it will be super tough. Go inside the bathroom and do the japa. Very tough. So, as such, that's why pure goodness or a spiritual, that's, we have to become transcendental. In the long run, you cannot change the modes. Prabhupada went to American Western land, which is full of passion and ignorance, and he changed that environment into Vaikuntha. So there is a power. There is a power. Spiritual activity. That's why Prabhupada said, no, if you read the purport of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Prabhupada reads, this is a transcendental sound vibration beyond all the three modes and passion, ignorance. Prabhupada writes in a very beautiful that. So surely all spiritual activities and devotional service, one can transcend all these three modes. And that's why this is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. If you see, anyone can practice. Even a Chandal can practice. Even Kirat can practice. Even women can practice. If you see from external perspectives, for a woman to maintain good purity standards, it's a little difficult because their body is made in such a way they may not be able to maintain. And that's why other parts of yoga are not given. Gyan, and that becomes very tough, almost impossible. But bhakti even can be practiced by anyone. That's the superiority of Bhakti Yoga. So, but surely the discussion here is, if we were to make practice the element of bhakti, the conducive mode is also mode of goodness. Then the pleasure becomes it becomes a pleasurable experience and more easier experience. And regarding your question whether to change an environment or change, most important is to do that activity of bhakti, that is chanting, reading, hearing. Now, whatever helps you to do that, anukul, whatever is anukul for that, do that much. The most important is this one. So if you feel that changing the environment is helping, then change. But it is not at the cost of not doing that activity only. So whatever is anukul, we should try to do. Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhu. We'll stop. Thank you, Prabhu.